piggybacking off of not too many podcasts ago, how do we, I really went on a bender with some buddies about leaving a legacy for your children, but if you work the entire time on your legacy and didn't establish the relationship so that they wanted to take it, what if you raise your kids to hate the farm?
Yeah.
Because
then you just built it for somebody else's kids.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
You, in my opinion, it's a wasted lifetime. Personally.
Yep.
I'm talking about what Josh Pretzer works for. No one else's, only mine. If I get to that point, now if the boys decide not to farm because they're very passionate about something else, blessings. How can I help you? Then how can I help someone who's passionate about agriculture, or I have the opportunity to, that maybe that person didn't have a passion about agriculture? So anyway, now I just went on another bender. Anyway,
but I just think it's so unique.
But yes,
because in those
it's
podcasts,
a tool.
yes,
that's not a tractor you handed to your kids.
Right.
This is like, hey man, look at this book that Dad compiled, Grandpa, Uncle, whatever it might be. This is years of work I compiled.
Well, and the other thing is, guys, trend lines. This is the other thing we need to focus on in agriculture.
Yeah.
You got that trend line has to start somewhere. So just because you find something on your farm doesn't mean that it's gospel truth from now on forever.
Yes.
But if you don't have that data, you don't know, hey, here's where we were to here's where we grew to. And I don't know crap about the whole carbon markets and all that. I don't know enough about it to have an opinion. But from the little that I've gathered, I think part of that is they want to be able to track, show improvement.
Yes.
Right? So you got to have a starting point. You got to have the starting data.
Well, and I'm going to kind of go back to the years with the family. So when you're doing these tests, doing these samples, these are all things that a 5-year-old kid could be around you while you do. Think of it that way.
Yeah.
Sending off a grain sample, pulling tissue leaves. I take my boys out to pull tissue tests.
Because, that's what I think about. And, of course, I don't know if my wife needs to hear this, but...
Is she going to listen to the podcast?
No, I'm probably good.
You're safe.
But with that in mind, so there was a couple times, I'd always have one more pivot I need to go check, right? Yeah. And I would be can I take Alfred with me? So we'd go out there and check. A 2-year-old walking through a cornfield, right?
Right.
Then I'm there with a cerveza or cocktail, enjoying that while we're just sitting there looking at this plant, doing stuff like that, grabbing a tissue sample. I'm not saying it has to involve a cerveza or a beer, but on the same token, if that's what you do at the end of the day, this is a great opportunity to get that data, get that and make it an experience.
For vanilla root beer.
And the core memories too, right? One of my earliest memories was with my dad. I was I don't even know if I should say this. Don't want to get him in trouble.
Think about it.
What's that?
Think about it.
I'm going to say it anyway.
All right.
I couldn't have been more than 5 years old, and we were out choring cattle, and Dad's like, look, here's the brake. Put your foot on it, because he's chucking bales out of the back of the truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's and I remember that, almost 40 years later, he's like, put your foot on the brake, let it off just a little bit when I tell you, and put it back on the brake. I wasn't driving, right? But so much as going through the open pasture.
Yeah, you weren't driving, you were braking.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You were just braking.
But he's throwing hay out of the back of the truck, and that's core memories, right? The kids will remember. Hey, I was out pulling samples with Dad.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. I know sometimes we can hear stuff and be like, I can't do one more thing. I just don't have the time for it, right? This is an opportunity that
I got overwhelmed with tissue testing early on.
Yeah.
And then I decided, hey, dude, get really good at that field across the road from your house.
Yep.
And take the kids, get home in the evening. Hey, honey, I'm going to take the boys. We're going to run over here on the range, and we're going to pull some tissue tests. And little rabbit trail, 30-pound rabbit trail. I was using tissue tests to tell me what to do, and I was always behind the ball. And so I started using tissue testing to build a trend line.
Oh, imagine that.
So to then, hey, I know that the last 3 years, this field has struggled with this issue at this time.
Yep.
So I can treat it ahead of time.
And I was going to not shoot holes in tissue testing, but when I say I've become disillusioned with a lot of the standard testing we're doing, tissue is another one. Because when you understand how tissue testing works, there are inherent problems with it. And you've hit on one of the major ones. Another one of the major ones that is sort of the dirty little secret here that nobody likes to talk about is if I have a leaf that's 2 inches wide and you have a leaf that's 4 inches wide, and we send them off, and they analyze those, and they have the same, let's just say grams, the same grams of calcium, for instance, in them. How do those results always given to you? In parts per million, or in concentration.
Yep.
Which means that if this weighs less and has less area, but has the same amount of calcium as this one in terms of grams, the concentration on this will be higher than it is in this one.
Yep.
Meaning
it will look like this had higher calcium, but do you want a 2-inch solar panel or do you want a 4-inch solar panel?
4.
Yeah. But because it's wider and there's more area and the same amount of calcium in both plants, this looks like it's deficient.
On a test. On a piece of paper, it'd say it's deficient,
Yeah.
even though it's not, because this bigger leaf has more carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen
Bingo.
to build more structure.
Thank you.
Diluted.
Yeah. Yes.
We're getting somewhere.
There. Boy, you're doing the work. You're doing the Lord's work here.
It's a diluted plant.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah. But that's a problem. And until we have a way to standardize that, right, across all labs and everybody saying, oh, I'm going to take weights and I'm going to take dimensions, there's no real good answer for that right now. So there's a couple big problems in tissue testing.
Yeah. But it's good as a starting
Still a
point to
tool,
get some
though?
data.
Yeah.
Still a tool in the toolbox.
For using it what you're using it for. And that's the thing, because now it's a trend line, right? Like it's not using it for, and that's the thing. Sometimes like we get this data and I feel like we're always chasing, right? We're always behind. But when you know, hey, I'm always behind at this level, whatever, like now all of a sudden you can address it sort of prophylactically.
Yeah.
Guys, if you've liked the information that you've seen so far, go ahead and check out the full-length podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. It's also on all the major podcast platforms. We're constantly dropping info and more content on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check it out for a lot more content.